Okay, here's the thing. Here's what we're doing. I have been transitioning my spring-summer wardrobe now into my fall-winter wardrobe. And you know, some things just are not fitting the same. And I just need an overall sprucing up. I don't need like a total wardrobe revamp, which I feel like that's what I used to do. I really like the clothes that I have. Some things just need a little pizzazz, a little upcycle, and a little bit of mending. That's the vibe today. We're mending, we're upcycling, and ultimately, I'm just like trying not to get rid of like hundreds of dollars worth of clothes. This first project is just gonna be like a little warm up, just like warming up the hands, warming up the skills. I have this lovely, beautiful navy blue cardigan, and I wear this a lot, and I really love it, but it's just like a hair plain, right? It's just like a hair too plain. The plan for this sweater is I'm just gonna add a blanket stitch around all of the edges of the sweater. I really want to embroider just like a little cute alpaca outline. I've been really obsessed with like animals, animal appliques, animal motifs, and I think that's it. And then I think that will just bring this to like the next level of comfort, cozy, grandma realness. Right? Okay, let's do it.
So I chose a yarn that was a little bit on the thinner side. So obviously I have my little embroidery hoop. I had to choose a needle that was thick enough that it allowed the yarn to pass through the fabric. And I also use a thimble as well. I got to protect these fingers. So, then I sat down. I got comfortable with my little blanket. Right now, I'm really into the Trisha Paytas podcast. She's an icon. She's a legend. And just helps get the creative juices flowing. And I'll link the 2 videos that I used to learn how to do a blanket stitch down below. It's kind of like a cool looking knot. I definitely recommend to maybe practice this a little bit before you like dive into a big piece. Once I got the hang of it, I was just like cooking. As the kids say, let her cook, Also, it didn't take me an insanely long time. I think I was 2 Just Trish podcasts in and then I finished. Because, that's how I calculate time. How many podcasts did it take me to finish this piece? Okay, now it's time for the alpaca motif. So I started off by finding a picture of an alpaca online and drawing out the silhouette on a napkin. I thought that this was going to be a great idea to use a napkin because it's similar to fabric. I thought I had just come up with the most phenomenal idea ever. And then when I started the embroidery, the napkin just completely ripped apart. And I was like, you know what? This looks bad. Like, let's try again. So then I made another stencil out of paper and I thought I might get a better result if I just like outlined the stencil, you know what I'm saying? So like just different approach. And this is what the embroidery looks like when I was all done. And now I'm gonna show you the final styled little grandpa sweater.
I love this, and I've been wearing this every single day. I have not taken this off of my body. I guess you could say that I love it. It's giving viral blanket jacket without actually having to construct the jacket. No notes. No notes. Another project that I want to tackle is these leg warmers. I made these leg warmers last year. I wanted them to be like oversized and slouchy, but they're just like a skosh too big. And then they just also like desperately need to be washed. But they're made out of wool and they're made from me, from my sheep. They're gonna be super, super warm. Let's clean these bad boys and then maybe we'll add like a little tie around it or something and make it like super cute.
So we should all know the drill by now on how I clean my wool pieces, but in my last video I do go more in depth, just FYI. I know the girlies love a link, so I'll leave a link down below. I was actually gifted this really cool little device by this brand called CROCHET. This isn't sponsored, but they did gift this to me, which was really, really nice. It has like 2 little tubs so I could agitate my pieces without getting my hands in the water. Then I just drained all of the yucky water back into the sink, and then I blocked my pieces on some foam board. Did the blocking really help? I don't know. I feel like it just made me feel professional. And here's me in the bathroom. I'm just trying to blow dry these things dry and just kickstart the drying process because this like thick wool yarn just takes forever forever to dry. Okay, moving on to the tassels. I just picked a 5mm crochet hook and my favorite pink yarn, and I just chained like 111 chains. Make sure to chain as many chains as you would like for good luck. I chose 111, and honestly I could have done more. Maybe I should have done 222. And then that is going to be my little tie, and then I just wound up weaving it through the tops of the leg warmers, and here's how everything came out.
Hi, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we should hang out or something. I say that this was a success. I can comfortably wear these without them like falling down and getting like incredibly dirty. These are just like really freaking cool and warm, and I'm just excited to wear them and style them. On to the next project. I have these pants. They're just like your average mom jeans, and they're just like ever so slightly too tight around the thighs. I've seen the Pinterest girlies and the TikTok girlies, of course, they'll thrift neckties and then they'll just like add them to the side seams of the pants to give it a little bit more width. This will just also add a cool vintage touch. You just have to go get some ties. So let's go do that.
Alright, I went to the thrift store so I can say hi to my old lady friends, and found the ties right away. $1 a tie. Okay, I got 10. Okay, here's the thing. I really just winged this. I did no research, so I started by cutting all the ties to some sort of length that I deemed an appropriate length for what I'm doing. And then guess what? One leg was fine and the other leg wound up being too small. But we're not going to harp on that right now. Decided to do 3 ties for each side of the pants. And then I just sewed the ties together with a zigzag stitch. And so the zigzag was zigzagging on like either side of the tie, you know what I'm saying? So after I had 2 sets of 3 ties sewn together, I need to seam rip up these sides just like so. Bada bow, wow, wow, wow. Now I have to pin the ties to the pants. This is a nighttime project and my brain is working with 2 brain cells and just like a lot of wine is happening. You know what I mean? The cat's here, the wine is here, I'm here, the sewing machine's here, we're all here. So I did have to repin my pants like 3 times for everything to like make it make sense, but we're not gonna talk about that. Anyway, yeah, I pinned the ties to the pants. Yep, that's what I did. Anyway, and then I sewed the ties to the pants. And I just like really did not know if this was going to look good or not because I didn't even measure anything. Actually, didn't measure, didn't research, didn't watch any YouTube videos of other people who have done this. I am just here and I'm a girl. And that's all I know. Anyway, once the ties are all sewn into the pants, the product is done. And here's what it looks like.
These pants are sick. Like, they're so sick, and like my thighs aren't in a freaking chokehold. Like, what a concept. If I'm gonna be nitpicky, let's just be nitpicky for like just a second. Wish I just had like a centimeter, a millimeter more crotch space, but I will take it. Like, this is a legit outfit that like I'm gonna wear this out to dinner tonight, and it's like so freaking sick. So fabulous. I'm so happy. Okay, it's time to sew. And I know it's time to sew because I've completely given up on my hair and makeup. All right, so I have these like loose, straight jeans. They just constrict my thighs like a freaking boa constrictor. I just don't think that these jeans are ever really going to fit me anymore. Not like how I want them to. It's also giving like major camel toe. So I actually got this idea from Indie's Vintage on Instagram, and she also sells clothes. So go check her out and buy her stuff. She's really awesome. I'm thinking of chopping off the pants and then adding a bunch of vintage and secondhand fabric that I've sourced to make like a really cool skirt. Right? Let's just make a really cool skirt. I guess I have to put these on and see where I want to cut them. Let's go do that.
I marked out exactly where I want to cut, and then I began to cut the pants, and I thought that I could just flip the pants over and cut them and it would give me a perfect template to make each side symmetrical, but that's like not what happened exactly. And then I just wound up making these like jean panties, and honestly I tried them on and they were comfortable. Okay, moving on. I then cut off the panty portion of the jean, and then I just kept cutting, and I wouldn't stop cutting, much like when you cut your own bangs and then you try to make them even and then you just give yourself micro bangs and then you cry in the bathroom. That is the vibe. Once I just stopped messing with it and stopped cutting, now it's time to move on to the skirt. And I finally get to use this like little duck fabric that I've been wanting to use for a really long time, so that makes me very, very excited. And I used that piece of fabric as like a template for the rest of the pieces that I wound up cutting, and cutting straight lines is like really hard. So I cut out 10 pieces of fabric, and that's for the main part of the skirt, and then I sewed them all together. And honestly, these little quilting clips are such a lifesaver. If I don't have to use pins, I won't, just because pins are scary and I'm afraid of having a rogue pin on the ground and then I step in it or my cat steps on it. Just shout out to quilting clips, honestly. They're freaking great. And I just sewed all 10 pieces of fabric together, so I had 2 rows of fabric and each row was 5 fabric pieces long. After everything was assembled and just looked like a big blanket, it was time to ruffle the top part of the skirt. So I bought a ruffling foot, and honestly, I'm getting PTSD watching this back. This ruffler is such a whiny little prima donna. I wound up purchasing a gathering foot because I never want to even look at this ruffling foot ever again. And then for length, I just like quickly put together another like little kind of trim for the skirt, and I also ruffled that as well. Anyway, here's what the skirt looked like when everything was all ruffled, and I was so happy that I never have to look at that ruffling foot ever again. I then pinned it to the jeans, and I sewed the bottom half of the skirt to the jeans, and here is the final outcome of the skirt. Hello. So thoughts about the skirt. Like, what do I even say? Like, I just like the skirt. I like frolicking in it. I think that I can make a lot of really cool outfits with this, and this is just like the ultimate cottagecore Frankenstein-y amalgamation like of my dreams, and like I just really like it. Could I have constructed this a little bit cleaner? The answer is yes. Sometimes you just have to like dive right in. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I feel like I've talked enough. I feel like I've sewed enough. I like don't even want to look at my sewing machine anymore. I've got the sewing out of my system for the time being. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to this channel, comment below and tell me which project was your favorite. Thank you guys, and bye!